All right, guys, I'm back here with like a little bit of a underrated gem here in Outside the Law. Lon Chaney and Todd Browning's second collaboration together. Literally bought this off of Amazon for pretty cheap. Now, when I first used to watch like classic movies on Turner, the movie channel, the um, the best things about it was Silent Sunday nights on Sundays, and the best thing about it was finding like those old gems like Charlie Chaplin, like Lon Chaney, like a lot of other great silent films that deserve to be watched and studied still to this day, just because they're of course magnificent. But that's my sort of like subjective taste. But in this instance here, we got, of course, Todd Browning, who is very, very overlooked, even in like silent film circles. Even though that, most people, okay, he made Freaks, he made, The Unknown. Uh, he made a lot of movies that are sort of on this like borderline of this moral compass in terms of like any type of it's like it's very hard to describe. It's like you get a little bit of a taste of like the underworld, but at the end of the day it's still like a 1920s picture. Like, okay, this is the the might is right. And of course he probably didn't like that, but of course, I mean, that was the time. At that point in the 1920s, you're supposed to have some sort of moral message within your films, right? But even then, Outside the Law, of course, has Lon Chaney in this role as the typical gangster, like definitely just a huge horrible person, I guess is what you could call him. And pretty much, there's a Priscilla Dean who was very popular at this time, as well as the second leading man. It looks like Dapper Bill, I believe is his name. But the way that this was filmed, I thought was interesting in terms of like 1920s, because this was like early 1920, I believe, or yeah, 1920 exactly. And most films at this time were very based on like D.W. Griffiths, like at the end chase scene, everything comes together and all that. Of course, like if you're meaning to buy this film, and I will get this out of the way first off, and it's unfortunate that I have to talk about this, but like silent films, yeah, were so neglected for, yes, still are, but like in terms of preservation, they weren't really taken seriously until probably like I would say the 70s, 80s. Um, but in this case, like the ending to this film, even though that this is redone in 4K, is badly decomposed, badly damaged. It was almost like if you had like an old VHS tape and you just like wore that thing to the nub, right? And you just kept on watching it over and over again. That's what it seems like to me. Like some guy like had the print and just kept on rerunning the climax over and over again. And just because the rest of the film was fine, except for I believe like in the second act where there was some deterioration, but the but the climax and everything was just completely like wiped out. But in terms of this movie here, why should you watch this, right? Why should you even watch Lon Chaney films? Why would you even watch a Todd Browning film? Well, here's the thing. Todd Browning is more of like this is very like he ran away from his family to join the circus, and he was Carney, right? And he eventually, just like most people in the silent era, just stumbled into making films, right? Same thing as Lon Chaney, when he had a public scandal with his wife, had to divorce her, and then he got into the silent film business just out of as a necessity, right? The silent film at one point, it's not like it is now where you need a resume and all that stuff and you need like a budget or whatever like that, right? Even though that these people were working for mainstream studios, um, these people were all outcasts in one way or another. This wasn't like this wasn't like a sort of like a flowery, eventually it would become that in Hollywood, and this is like the great lie. It still is that to this day. But at one time it was sort of like this, this still a very wild production. I mean, if you see like all the like the Wikipedia article of like all of the like the film accidents that have happened in silent film, it'll blow your mind. Like some of the crazy stuff that's gone on in this time period. But in terms of like and I'm sorry, I got off on a tangent there. But like Todd Browning is definitely an interesting career, and I think Outside the Law is definitely like one of the better Browning films that I've watched. My personal favorites are The Blackbird, even though that's a little bit more melodramatic compared to all of his other works. I really enjoyed that one, as well as Miracle Man, and of course the aforementioned Freaks and The Unknown, which I wasn't a fan of at the time. But in this case, like I would definitely recommend Outside the Law if you haven't gotten a chance to. A really good commentary by Anthony Slide as well. The musical score by Anton Sanko is incredible. I loved it. It was dark. It's one of the best like musical scores that modern musical scores that I've seen from a silent film, and that's I really enjoyed this movie a lot, and I do think that if you are planning to see Todd Browning, and of course, go for like the bigger, stuff, and of course, Chaney and Todd Browning would, of course, like culminate this with, I believe, London After Midnight, which wasn't really well received at the time. Then it's like garnered this huge urban legend, but it probably wasn't a good movie. Like most of those late period like Lon Chaney films, I don't think they were probably up to snuff, except for like maybe a couple of them. But I do think that they are worth your time to dive into, especially Lon Chaney, which he was still all overlooked actor. Really, a lot of people kind of dismiss silent film acting as very emotive, very, but of course that's what they had to do at the time. Lon Chaney had the edge on him because he was born from deaf parents, so he knew how to like emote with his eyes. There's very special actors that I really like that can really just emote with their eyes. They don't even have to like change their expression. They don't even have to change anything. Like Lon Chaney, Harvey Keitel, a lot of other stuff, a lot of other actors that that can just emote with their eyes. Maybe even Humphrey Bogart, I would say. And Marlon Brando, famous actor enter here. But in this case, like I do think that you should go ahead and check this out, even if it isn't like super interesting to you, even though you like, talkies, whatever. you know, I would say go ahead and check this movie out. And in the future, I will be doing more Lon Chaney, Todd Browning stuff. But for now, still working on the edited video. I haven't forgot about it. But thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you. Like, hit subscribe. Thank you so much.